Looking at the steering wheel and the cluster screen inside of the Genesis GV70. This is the non-electric version, and it's also a 2026 model. If you want to walk through on the last generation version, you'll find that down in the description of this video. So let's dive in and I'll show you everything that you need to know. First thing I'm going to point out is that the steering wheel is going to be heated. So just down the middle here, you've got a button there with two unique levels, and it's heated all the way around. Most trims are also going to have a power telescoping steering wheel. So just on the left side of the column there, you've got the option of going in, out, up and down to find that perfect position. Once you've got that set up, there's also seat memory too, along with side view mirror memory. So what you're going to do is get your driver's seat set up the way that you'd like to. So you've got your button here in order to adjust out your leg cushion. You can move the seat forwards, backwards, up or down. You can adjust out the backrest here. And then there's also this little toggle here, so you can adjust out the seat bolsters. And also, there's four-way lumbar support there too. Once you've got that set up, you're also going to get your side view mirrors set up. So tap either left or right in order to be able to adjust out each mirror as necessary. Once everything's set up there, you're then going to tap set in either one or two for it to remember your own personal profile. So you've got two different memory profiles that are available there. And there are so many different buttons. So you can also increase, decrease the brightness of the cluster screen there if you'd like. Open and close the lift gate. Toggle traction control on or off. There's hill descent control there. And then your electronic parking brake. So you're just going to pull in towards you in order to turn that parking brake on. You're going to push the brake pedal in and then push away in order to turn that off. And there are so many different buttons in stock. So along the left-hand side here, you've got your light controls. You're going to be in the auto mode the majority of the time. Now, if you push away, that turns us into the auto headlamp mode. And what that means is that at nighttime, if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed, it turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it turns them off before turning them right back on again. But you can't permanently lock the high beams out in the daytime inside of the auto mode. At night, you just push away to turn them on. If you wanted to permanently lock them out though, go into the upper headlamp mode, push away to turn those high beams on, pull towards you to turn them off. Then you've got other light controls there, but yeah, you're going to be in the auto mode though the majority of the time. Your stock along the right-hand side is going to be for your wipers. So you're just going to go one down for a quick mist wipe, go up one to put yourself into the auto mode, and then you can also control how fast or slow rain's hitting the windshield this way, or go into one of those crazy modes. Then you're just going to pull in towards you in order to get the front windshield wiper fluid going. You've got this little tab along the outside there, so you can go up or down in order to go to a few different variable speeds for your rear wiper there too. And then you're going to push away in order to get your rear wiper going. The car also has paddle shifters. So it's plus along the right-hand side, minus along the left. So if you needed to drop gears in order to shoot up your RPMs to pass people, you've got that flexibility. If you need to rely on engine braking, you can also drop gears down this way too. If you've never used paddle shifters before, if you want a better explanation of how to use them, when to use them, why to use them, etc., you'll find that down in the description of this video. And then, so many different buttons. So the ones on the outside here, so these are going to be for cruise control. There's only a single type of cruise inside of Genesis vehicles, and that's the smart or the adaptive cruise control system. So that's your set it and forget it cruise. So let's say if you turn it on and it sets at 60, if the car in front of you slows down, yours will automatically brake. They change lanes, you change lanes, it'll pick you back up to your previously set speed. So to use the system, you toggle it on this way. Conditions are not met because I'm currently parked. So you have to be going at least 30 kilometers an hour or about 20-ish miles an hour in order to turn it on initially. You then increase or decrease your speed by going up and down this way. You can push and hold up, push and hold down to increase, decrease at larger increments. You can hit the brake to cancel your speed, push the button in the middle here to cancel or pause your speed, push in again to resume to your previously set speed. There's also a gap adjustment with 4 unique levels. That's how close or far are you from the leading vehicle. I'm personally okay with level 1. You might want to be on level 2, 3, or 4, depending on your comfort level. And then you've got this button here, and this one is going to be either your lane keep assist, so you can see there, icon's going away. So if you just do a quick button push, that's going to be the lane follow assist. So the car is not self-driving, but with that follow assist system turned on, if it recognizes the lane markings, it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane. You can keep your hands off the wheel. You shouldn't, but just in case you're rubbernecking like an idiot, whatever the case may be, it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane. And then you've got your lane follow assist. So if you take that same button, if you push and hold it, that toggles that other icon on or off. So the lane keep assist, what that one's going to do is if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, vibrate the wheel and it'll nudge you back into your lane. So they're two very different systems. I personally always use the lane follow assist, and I use adaptive cruise control pretty much all the time. So just on residential streets even too. Because again, if you lose focus for a brief second, it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane. If you want a live demonstration of using that cruise control system, you'll find it down in the description. Now inside of the infotainment system, if you go into your setup for a second here, vehicle, then you've got driving convenience, smart cruise control. You've got your option based on driving style. So your adaptive cruise control will actually start to change based off of the way that you drive, but you can also set how close or far are you away from that leading vehicle. So you can adjust it there or by pushing the button there. But you can also control how fast the vehicle speeds up or how fast it slows down. So if there's somebody in front of you that slams on their brakes, do you want it to slow down a little bit slower or a little bit quicker? So you can adjust the reaction speed there and then how quick it accelerates. If you're using that cruise control system and it's not speeding up fast enough, you can also just hit the accelerator pedal yourself if you'd like. There's an available lane change assist too. So strictly on highways, as you are driving, what you'll notice is that there's going to be another icon here, and it's going to be green with arrows there. And yeah, it's cool. You can see the animations there. But what's going to happen here is that if those lane markings are recognized, you hit the turn stalk to go left or right. It's going to check to see if there's anybody in that lane, and then it's automatically going to change lanes for you. It is an amazing system. Love it. But like I said, for the infotainment system, you'll find a full walkthrough of this down in the description. You've got a little custom button here that you can set up through the infotainment system, and then a pages button here in order to get to some additional views here too. And then you've got a series of other buttons. So you've got another custom button here. So there are 3 custom buttons there. And in order to set these up inside of the infotainment system, go to your setup, button touchpad, and then from there, so you've got your one button down there, but then you've got your 3 options on the steering wheel. So this button, what does that little guy do? Going out to the side there, you can have it adjust out to your Bluetooth audio, have it reject phone calls, go to your home screen, toggle the display off, etc. Your star button along the steering wheel there, what does that do? Does it bring your phone up, take it to the home screen, put you into quiet mode? Does it do nothing, etc.? So you can, again, change that out. Your mode button along the steering wheel, or does this little feller? That's going to change between different sources. So if you have a tendency to listen to FM and Sirius XM only, or also sounds of nature, you can set this up. And from there, if you now push that, that's going to change up whatever audio source you're listening to. So it's kind of neat that you've got the flexibility of adjusting these buttons out to something unique. You can answer or hang up on a phone call this way if you'd like to. You've got your volume rocker down there, so you can adjust volume this way, push in the middle to mute, and then you can do the same here. So you can adjust your audio volume this way, push in order to mute out there too. So pretty simple. There's a voice command prompt here, and the voice command prompt is going to let you do things like change stations if you'd like to. You can navigate using your voice. You can even control so many different things. You can change your climate using your voice there too. You can adjust your heated ventilated seats if you'd like to, all using your voice. So what I'd actually recommend, when you get your Genesis, go through this screen to see what you can do. Like, this is just some of what you can do, but most of the vehicle controls can be done using the voice command prompt. And then if you've got a phone hooked up, so Android or iPhone devices, you can push and hold that button in order for you to either activate Android Auto or Apple CarPlay Assistant, so either your Google or your Siri Assistant too. Inside of the cluster screen, there are a few unique looks that are available. So I've got it set up for this kind of old school traditional look. Now inside of the infotainment system, if you go into your screen theme and layout, you've got either automatic, black, or white. So we're in automatic, which means that the vehicle is going to determine if we're in black or white, just depending on how bright it is outside. But you can lock it in either way. So I love that black look. So if you wanted to permanently lock it out there, you could do that. But auto means that it flips it out one way or the other, but you can permanently lock it in to any of those other options too. On top of that, you can change out the exterior color of the vehicle. And where that comes into play is as we go into things like our 360 camera, you can see the color of the car there. So that can be dynamic. just based off of the color that you've got selected here. You can change the font size for both the maps and then for the audio screen there too. Your cluster theme selection. You've got your cluster widgets here too. So cluster widgets right in the very middle, but what shows up here? Your gauges. You can change between either analog or digital. So if you wanted to go into the kind of that new school look, I'm personally a bigger fan of that old school analog setup there, but you can go either one. So you'll get the tachometer, speedometer there, or do you just want the speedometer? So I'm a bigger fan there, but you can adjust it out. And then you've got your cluster mode. Do you want to have it in normal versus your map modes, wide modes, etc. So again, customizing that to look a little bit different, you've got that available. And then the last important one is going to be in your setup. So if you go to your setup again, into your general settings at the very end, you can change up the language of the vehicle. But the big one here is going to be your measurement units. So do you want your measurement units to be in either kilometers, or do you want them to be in miles? If you're in kilometers, your fuel economy, you want to be in liters per 100. But you can adjust that out easily there. You can see it adjusted out on the fly. You can change up your measurement units for the temperature, so Celsius, Fahrenheit. Your air pressure, do you want to be in PSI, kPa, or bar? How do you want your turbo and your torque measured there too? And on this setup, you've got your fuel gauge along the very bottom there, done two different ways. So you've got your basic gauge with your mileage till empty, outside temperatures there, along with your current odometer. Along the top, it's what gear are you currently in. So reverse, neutral, drive, etc. You can see there, because we're in drive, you can see all of your different park sensing systems there. And back to park. Along the top, if you've got your cruise control, yeah, that's not going to work because I'm currently parked right now. But if you've got your lane follow assist, lane keep assist, etc. activated, those icons will show up. And then you've got your little scroll wheel here that I was pointing out. So if you just tap it right now, that's going to give you the flexibility of moving up and down to go between all of your different options here. So you've got your last refueling, reset, etc. So if we start our current trip, so that's from the last time that the ignition was turned on. Your since refueling is since the last time you filled up. That's the economy that you've gotten with the distance you've traveled. And then your last reset. In order to reset these, what you're going to do is take this little thing. You see where we're going up and down here. You're just going to double push in the middle there. So you're just going to go 1, 2 in order to zero yourself back out again. But you can see here. So if we look at this as an example, there's a little notch right in the middle. And what that's going to say is we've used 12.7 liters per 100. Obviously going to be different if you're miles per gallon, but you've got that there. And then along the very bottom, it's also going to be your auto start stop system. Power distribution's there, so you can see which axle is getting which amount of power. Tire pressure, you have to actively be driving in order to see, but it's going to show up in PSI, kPa, or bar. There's your different temperatures there, your turbo gauges, etc. If you've got a route going, that's also going to show up here. So actually, if we navigate to Tim Hortons, just selecting one of these routes here, and in just a second,
the route guidance will start now.
So you can see here,
meters, turn left and then turn left.
So you can see there you've got that option. So you've got your destination there, you've got a compass view, and then along the top there, you've also got some different turn-by-turn directions there. Swiping across is going to give us our current media that we're listening to. Across one more time, you've got a few different options for your weather. And then again, back to our main screen. You can also use your button along the left-hand side here. So we go up and down. There are 4 unique views that are available here too. So, I mean, if you wanted something a little bit more unique, you've got the flexibility of really kind of being able to adjust this out. So the page that we're on right now, this is the driving assistance view. So as you're driving, you'll be able to see different things. So as cars come up the left or the right side, you'll see kind of boxes moving along each side. If the lane markings are recognized, that goes green. It's really neat. If there's somebody that enters your blind spot, it also shows you along the very bottom, letting you know that somebody's on the blind spot on either side. It's actually really, really neat the way that Genesis has done this. If you had a head-up display inside of your GV70, they would also show up there. Now, inside of the infotainment system, you also have the flexibility of being able to change around a few elements of the head-up display if you'd like to. So you can toggle the head-up display off completely if you'd like, but you can also adjust a few things out. So you can adjust out how high or low it sits. You can also adjust out the rotation, so if you have a tendency to sit one way or the other. And then you can also adjust out the brightness. And then one thing is that if you wear polarized sunglasses, yeah, shows up perfectly there. It's really tough to see the head-up display with polarized sunglasses on. And then inside of the infotainment system, you can also adjust out what information is showing up inside of the head-up display. So do you want your turn-by-turn directions showing up there, yay or nay? So you can hide those if you'd like to. If somebody's in your blind spot, it would show up along the outer part there, letting you know somebody's there. If you've got radio going, media, etc., you can see what's going on with the current station that you might be listening to. And in a second, it'll just go away there. So it's actually kind of neat that you've got that flexibility. And inside of the infotainment system, if you go into your setup, vehicle, you can adjust some things out with your cluster here too. So you can adjust out the brightness of the cluster. So if you wanted it lighter, darker, etc. There's a theme selection there too. So you can have it linked to your drive mode, or you can adjust out the theme. So where that comes into play, you've got this down here. So you can move up or down to jump between different drive modes. You can also push in the middle there to go to different terrain modes, but I'll explain these as we go. So your drive modes, you've got eco, which is going to give you the best possible fuel economy. There's an available coasting mode too. So when you've got eco mode going, what it's going to do is decouple the engine from the transmission to give you better overall economy. There's a comfort mode, which is going to be more like your normal drive mode. There's sport mode, sport plus. When you get into that sport mode, the sport plus, it actually hugs the seat bolsters a little bit more. So the seat, you're going to notice, hugs your body. It's actually kind of neat. Then there's your custom my mode, where you've got the flexibility of customizing your individual drive mode here. So what do you want your powertrain to be like, your steering or your suspension? The steering, the two modes, comfort, you have to throw the wheel a little bit more to turn, versus sport, stiffens things up. That's the same thing with your suspension. And then if you were to push this button again, so rather than moving up or down, you push it, that gets you into a few different terrain modes. So snow mode, mud, and sand. They're going to play with traction control, stability control, etc. So it's essentially going to change up the dynamics of the ride. But for the most part, though, you're probably going to be in either eco or comfort most of the time, unless you want to use launch control and have a little bit of fun by going into that sport mode instead. If you hop back for a second here, you've also got, see, some content selections. So what's showing up, your wiper light display. So as you move and adjust out your wipers there or your lights, you can see that you've got a little pop-up there. So you can toggle that pop-up off. And then there's also your blind spot view monitor. So as you go left or right, do you want it showing your blind spot inside of the cluster screen there? Down low, you've got all of your climate controls here. There is a climate control settings screen built right in here for the infotainment too. So you can adjust it out this way or down low. So you can adjust out whether it's going to windshield, face, feet, etc. Adjust out your speed, control the front or the rear climate down here. You've got your rocker zone. You can see as you adjust it here, it adjusts everything right through the infotainment too. You're going to have heated seats in all trims with ventilated in those highest trims. Your heated steering wheel with 2 unique options. Down low, there's your auto start stop system. So what that one does, if you come down to a complete stop, the engine might turn off. Every time you restart the vehicle, you're going to have to toggle that off if you're not crazy about it. There's your park sensing system. So the beeping that you get as you get closer to obstacles, do you want that on, off, yay, nay? You can tap this so lightly just to bring up your 360 camera. So when you do that, you've got your basic view, you've got a back view with your side mounted cams, or look at this, your full 360 view, and you can move your finger around in order to show you what's going on around the vehicle. I love it. You can tap here in order to adjust your guidelines. So if you're actually in reverse, do you want those guidelines showing up? Yay or nay? Now, you can also take this button. If you push and hold it instead, that is going to bring up Park Assist. So the vehicle can help out with both parallel and perpendicular parking. If you want to walk through and actually using the Park Assist system, so the remote smart parking assistant, you'll find that down in the description of this video. You've got some basic buttons here. So there's back, there's also your home button or menu. So you could navigate through the infotainment system using the dial here. So you can actually go left or right and then move it up or down in order to get to some different subpages there too. You can go back home. There's an available fingerprint reader which you can set up inside of the infotainment system here too. So under your profile, fingerprint identification. So what that means is that you can have it so that you can't look through the infotainment system, etc. Maybe even start the vehicle up without your fingerprint sensor there. There's the auto hold setting here too. With auto hold, the way that one works, if you're in drive, you come down to a complete stop and then take your foot off the brake, the vehicle is not going to move. It's a beautiful setting. I know some people aren't too crazy about a rotary dial shifter, but this thing looks beautiful, feels good in the hand, and one nice thing is that if you're out of park, so you're in reverse, neutral, drive, etc., if you just go to turn the car off, it automatically will shift you right back into park. So you don't need to tap park in order to actually park the car. You back into a spot, turn off, automatically throws you into park instead. I know that was a heck of a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel, as well as the cluster screen inside of the Genesis GV70.